In the early 2010s, more than a decade ago, one of the largest fraudulent schemes in the digital age quietly began to take shape. It started in a few major cities in the United States, San Francisco, New York, and Miami, where a small group of tech-savvy operators, many of them with backgrounds in software development, finance, and online marketing, began experimenting with new ways to manipulate trust at scale. These were not lone hackers in dark rooms. They were organized actors who understood both technology and human psychology. They built platforms that looked legitimate, crafted messages that felt personal, and used the speed of the internet to move money faster than anyone could realistically track. Over the next 10 years, this initial model evolved, multiplied, and spread across the country, adapting to new technologies, new financial instruments, and new fears. By 2025, the consequences of that early experiment had erupted into full scale. Cybercrime stopped being merely digital noise and became one of the largest sources of financial losses for ordinary people and companies. According to the official report from the Internet Crime Complaint Center, IC3, a unit within the FBI, total reported losses from cybercrime first exceeded $20 billion and reached approximately $20.9 billion. This is 26% higher than the previous year and the highest figure ever recorded. Behind that dry number lies more than 1 million real complaints. Over the year, IC3 received more than 1 million reports of cybercrime, meaning thousands of incidents every single day. The hook of this year is that the biggest losses did not come from complex, Hollywood-style hacks, but from what many continue to underestimate: deception, manipulation of trust, and greed. The official IC3 report emphasizes that in 2025, the largest profits did not come from hackers who break into systems, but from criminals who know how to break into people. Looking at the statistics by category, the biggest chunk of money lost in 2025 was taken by investment fraud. The official IC3 report states that investment fraud alone accounted for losses of more than $8.6 billion, or about 40% of all reported financial losses. Most of this amount is tied to cryptocurrencies. Crypto investment fraud schemes caused losses of approximately $7.2 billion. This is why analysts and industry publications explicitly state that cryptocurrency owners became one of the main groups at risk in 2025. The second largest category of financial losses was schemes involving business email compromise, known as BEC. In 2025, these schemes cost victims roughly $3 billion. These are cases where criminals intercept chains of business correspondence or impersonate the sender, forcing companies to send money to the wrong counterparties instead of the ones they believe they are paying. Everything looks as if the email came from a real director or partner, and the payment details look real, but in fact the money goes to criminals' accounts, sometimes abroad, where it is already difficult to trace. The third giant category of losses, according to official sources, is technical support and service-related fraud. Analyst reports based on IC3 data note that schemes posing as technical support, when criminals pretend to be representatives of support services, banks, or IT companies, accounted for more than $2 billion in losses. In the classic version, the victim is called or receives a message claiming that something is wrong with their device or account, and then, step by step, is guided toward giving away access or sending money. In 2025, IC3 received more than 1 million complaints, a record for the entire history of this center. This means that on average, about 3,000 new reports of cybercrime were registered daily. The overall trend in recent years is clear. The number of such crimes is growing, and the total amount of losses is increasing even faster than the number of complaints. If in the mid-2010s around 280,000 reports were filed annually, and by the end of the decade around 791,000, then in 2025 the figure surpassed 1 million, and cumulative losses grew from $1 billion to more than $20 billion over roughly a decade. The official report contains another detail that shows the depth of the problem. The hardest financial hit was suffered by the most vulnerable groups of the population. According to an analysis based on IC3 data, the largest total losses were reported by people over 60 years old. This age group alone reported losses of more than $7.7 billion in 2025. In effect, about 1/3 of all money that went to cybercriminals belonged to pensioners, who are especially often targeted through social engineering, pressure, and manipulation of fear and trust. At the same time, cybercriminals are increasingly targeting another polar group, minors. An overview based on IC3 data notes a rise in cybercrime against children and teenagers, online grooming, cyberbullying, extortion of intimate material, and so-called sextortion. In 2025, about 17.6% of sextortion cases were estimated to be directed against people under 20 years old. This means that cybercrime is pressuring both those just entering adult life and those who have already retired, while the most protected segments of the population turn out to be right in the middle. The geography of reports is also not random. In absolute terms, the largest number of cybercrimes and financial losses naturally come from the biggest and most populous states: California, Texas, Florida, and New York. But if we calculate complaints per 100,000 residents, the picture changes. The leaders are Washington, District of Columbia, Alaska, Nevada, and Arizona, where the density of cybercrime per capita is especially high. This shows that the problem is not limited to large metropolises and financial centers. It is spread much more widely and often hits regions that are considered peripheral. Particular attention should be paid to the role of cryptocurrencies and artificial intelligence. According to analytics based on the IC3 report, crypto investment fraud schemes in 2025 caused losses of approximately $7.2 billion, and total losses related to cryptocurrency exceeded $11 billion. This means that a significant portion of all money lost online was either stolen directly in digital assets or passed through them as an intermediate step for laundering and concealing the trail. Artificial intelligence officially appeared in the IC3 report in 2025 as a distinct category of cybercrime. The FBI recorded more than 22,000 complaints related to frauds using AI technologies, including voice forgery, creation of realistic images and videos, and generation of content designed to persuade victims. Total losses in this category were estimated at nearly $893 million. Official materials emphasize that criminals use AI to create fake social profiles, voice clones of real people, forged documents, and believable videos in which familiar people or public figures supposedly appear. Against this backdrop of new technologies, classical attack types did not disappear. In many ways, they adapted. Phishing and spoofing remain the most widespread types of cybercrime in terms of the number of complaints. Analysis of the IC3 report shows that in 2025, phishing accounted for about 19% of all complaints, with the number of reports in these categories reaching hundreds of thousands. Even though the average damage from a single phishing incident is smaller, the cumulative effect is huge, and phishing emails are often used as a first step toward more serious crimes, from account hacking to BEC and investment schemes. Ransomware continues to be one of the most dangerous threats to critical infrastructure. An overview based on IC3 data notes that in 2025, a significant portion of ransomware attacks targeted sectors considered critical to the economy and security: healthcare, critical manufacturing, financial services, government agencies, and information technology. In these cases, the consequences go far beyond direct financial losses, affecting the availability of medical care, the operation of production facilities, access to government services, and the stability of the financial system. At the organizational level, reports and studies on cyber threats in 2025 show a general picture. Successful attacks increasingly lead to data leaks and disruption of business processes. Analytics indicate that in 2025, nearly 2/3 of successful attacks on organizations ended with leaks of confidential information, and a significant portion led to operational shutdowns, downtime, and direct economic losses. Other studies, relying on the same trends, say that in Russia and globally in 2025, about 47% of attacks on businesses led to disruptions in company operations, which shows the global nature of the threats. For the financial sector, 2025 was especially hard. According to specialized reports, the number of cyber attacks on financial organizations increased by tens of percent, in some estimates by 43% compared to the previous period. Banks and other financial institutions became the target of both mass DDoS attacks and complex targeted campaigns aimed at bypassing internal security procedures and stealing money or data. Technical analysis of incidents shows that DDoS and complex targeted attacks dominate, together accounting for a significant share of all incidents against the financial sector. If we put everything together, the picture emerges that in 2025, cybercrime is no longer a separate category of computer problems, but a full-fledged industry with its own business models, specializations, and attack pipelines. Official reports and analytics emphasize that the main driver of the growth in losses was fraud, not classical, breaking technical hacks. Investment fraud, business email schemes, and tech support scams together account for more than half of all recorded financial losses. At first glance, it might seem that this is purely a technical war, antiviruses, encryption, complex passwords. But IC3 data from 2025 shows the opposite. The main resource that criminals exploit is not vulnerabilities in the source code, but vulnerabilities in human behavior. Pressure, false urgency, manipulation of fear and greed, forgery of visual and vocal signals of trust, all of this becomes a new weapon, reinforced by artificial intelligence and fast financial instruments like cryptocurrencies. And here lies the unexpected twist of the entire 2025 story, documented in official reports. When we hear that total losses from cybercrime exceeded $20 billion, it is easy to imagine that the main targets of criminals are large corporations, exchanges, and banks. But the distribution of victims in the reports says otherwise. In 2025, the most money was lost not by giant organizations, but by private individuals, especially older people and owners of digital assets who believed promises of quick income. Cybercrime has stopped being a story about distant servers and unknown hackers. It has become a story about the daily choices of specific people. Click on a link or not, trust the voice in the phone or check again, send money before it's too late, or take a pause and ask for advice. And if in 2015 IC3 reports spoke of losses of about $1 billion, and today more than $20 billion, this means not only an increase in the technical power of criminals, but also that for now they are winning the battle for attention and trust. The most sober and perhaps most unexpected conclusion from all these official figures is this: the main black swan in cyberspace is not one giant apocalyptic hack that would turn off the lights worldwide, but a slowly growing, truly massive wave of ordinary frauds that every day take a little from millions of people and at the end of the year add up to a figure of 20 billion plus. And as reports keep recording new records, it becomes obvious. The weakest and strongest point of the system at the same time is not devices or networks, but the human on the other side of the screen. Now it is time to move from the question, what happened, to the question, how not to fall for scammers and not send them money. Based on IC3 data, we can formulate several specific tips that really help reduce the risk. Do not click on links from unverified messages. Phishing is the most widespread type of cybercrime, and through such links, a chain often begins, leading to more serious crimes. If the message is from an unknown address, or the link goes to an unclear domain, do not open it. Go to the app or website directly through an official source. Do not send money before it's too late. Always take a pause. Scammers often say, urgently, otherwise the money will disappear. The promotion is only today. Your account will be blocked if you don't send it now. Real banks and services do not require immediate payments via email or SMS. If you take a pause even for 10 to 15 minutes, most often it turns out that this is an attempt to deceive. Do not trust a phone call, message, or voice in the phone until you have verified the person's identity. In 2025, only schemes posing as technical support accounted for losses of more than $2 billion. Real services do not call asking to resolve a problem immediately, do not demand passwords and access codes, and always allow you to verify information through an official channel. Do not trust fast and safe crypto products without full verification. Crypto investment scams in 2025 brought about $7.2 billion in losses, and total crypto losses exceeded $11 billion. If you cannot verify an organization through official sources, do not invest money in that product. Do not trust verified profiles and a voice in the phone if they are not verified independently. AI is used to create fake profiles, clone voices of acquaintances, and generate believable videos. If you receive a message from a friend asking to urgently send money, check through another channel, a call, a message in another app. Do not send money if you do not have full confidence in the counterparty. BEC schemes in 2025 resulted in losses of about $3 billion. Before any transfer, compare the details with official documents, check that the email comes from an official address, and if necessary, call and confirm the payment through another channel. Do not give access and passwords, even if they say it is for security. Real services never require you to hand over passwords, access codes, or 2FA codes. If someone says that for security you need to give a password or a code, that is 100% a scammer. If you have already sent money, immediately stop new transfers, contact the bank or service, report that this may be fraud, and if possible, submit a complaint to IC3. No one can guarantee a return, but quick action helps stop further losses. If you remember one rule, that urgently, before it's too late, almost always means a scam, and that verification through an official channel almost always saves you from deception, then you will already be in a better position than most people who fall for schemes in 2026.